Hello, everybody. I'm back again. So this time I'm going to share my screen and talk to you a little bit about WeVideo. There are other programs out there, of course, that you can use to make digital stories. I mean, you could probably even use CapCut in some ways. There's apps, there's all kinds of things that you can use, but I really like WeVideo for a lot of reasons. One, it's very user friendly. You can be as sophisticated as you want to be. You can be as minimal and simplistic as you want to be based on how much you're willing to invest in terms of time and understanding of what you're trying to accomplish. And I can tell you this, I understand the impulse when you're learning a new piece of technology, a new app, a new something, to use every little bell and whistle that you possibly can. I have done this. When I first started using PowerPoint a bazillion years ago, I did the transitions with the window blinds and the stars and all those things. Don't do that. Try to be as simple as possible in terms of things like transitions from images to images. You want to have a nice fade out and a fade up, unless you have really good reasons. Always, when you're creating a digital story, think rhetorically. Why am I doing this? How does it help the audience? How does it help my purpose? How does it help me as the creator be credible? I mean, all of those same questions that you would ask when writing, a memo, writing a report, anything that you might write, ask yourself those same questions, but frame it within the context of digital storytelling. And so let's take a look. I'm going to share my screen here. Let's poke around in WeVideo. I don't have enough time to give you a full tutorial on this, but I can tell you a way to think about using WeVideo as a tool for digital storytelling creation. So let me share my screen and we will talk about WeVideo. I've been using this and teaching with this for, I don't know, probably since 2013, 14 maybe. And it's still my preferred tool to use in the classroom. You can see I've got some projects here. I've used this at Carlow University, at Penn West University. I've taught eighth graders at a local Catholic high school how to use WeVideo. I've used it in multiple environments, and so people really do adapt to it. So when you sign in to your WeVideo, you'll see I've got some projects down here that I've worked on in the past, but click create, and it will take you to this screen, which is your big composing screen. And the cool thing about this, and hold on a second. Oh, I just realized that I wanted to make sure that this was big enough for me to inflate this. So the cool thing about the way that WeVideo works, it's similar again to other video editors, but it comes with lots of pre-loaded things. So if you're in the position where you can't take your own photos or your own videos of every single detail of the project that you're trying to work on, it comes with videos on just about any subject you can possibly imagine. It comes with images, it comes with text. The only thing is, you can see once you spend some time in WeVideo, you'll be able to identify on television, if you watch TV, in your streaming apps when they run a commercial, in on any kind of local media, any kind of social, you'll see people who create WeVideo and use the stock video and stock images and stock music. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you can also be very original and use your own work as well, your own photos, your own video, and certainly music, of course, as long as it's copyright and royalty free. But the music that is contained within WeVideo you can use it any way you want, even in a commercial sense without paying for it because it comes as part of the package that is WeVideo. So let's talk a little bit about this interface and what we're looking at. So over here, we like to think about this. This is how I was taught by my digital storytelling teachers, and I still kind of like this as a metaphor. If we think about making a video like we're cooking, we can think of this screen here in the corner with all the images in it right now. This is sort of like our cutting board. This is where we're cutting everything up and we're assembling our ingredients. And so in this window is where they call it a project bin these days, but you can drag and drop any media that you want that's external. If you have photos and videos, and this is where you'll put your audio line for your narration too. You'll add it all in this folder here. And then if we think about that as sort of the assemblage of ingredients, the cutting board, the countertop with the ingredients stacked on it, then we take those ingredients and we add them here to something that's called a timeline. And this is where your digital story takes its shape. And you can see there's already built in a text line, a video line, an audio line, and so on. But looking at this, even if I expand my screen a little bit here on my Mac, you can see that you can almost not see that, but you can do all kinds of things in here to help you with it, right? You can move this up so you can see the timeline better. You can also go over here to these three dots to what's called the main menu and edit in full screen. And that'll increase it. I don't know if it'll change my screen share, so I don't want to show you that. But if you click on it, it'll give you more space to compose on your screen. So when you create your media, when you add it here, then you drop it down into your timeline and then you see it over here. And we like to think of and we can think of the timeline as kind of like the mixing bowl or the pan or something. But if we think of this window here with this video player in it, this is like the oven door so that we're looking inside, watching our stuff cook, watching our bread rise or our cake make. So let's just see what that looks like real quick. Let's just borrow some of the images in here. I don't know what kind of digital story we're making, but it doesn't really matter in terms of in this moment because I just want to show you sort of the technical aspects of how this works. So let's say we are making a digital story about here's the business category about a tutoring service that just opened, and these folks are tutorers, and we're just going to drop their image down here in this video line, and then we'll need some audio, and these are all music bits. And you can play them and listen to them. And one of my favorite things to do for my students is to play one of the videos and try to, in the moment, match it up to like a local commercial. And you'll see what I mean. So this one is called Sunny Morning. Let's give it a listen. And so you can imagine that you could hear something like that in just about any story. If we go down to let's listen to this one. Here at UPMC, we pride ourselves on our cardio rehab facilities. They are state of the art. So you see what I mean? You've heard this before. But the idea is that these come preloaded and it's super handy, especially if you're in a time crunch. And we are getting to the end of the semester, right? So if you just select, if you find one that you think works for the content, probably not angry, that works for the content of your video, just pop it into let's listen to this one real quick. Okay, that seems very docile. So why don't we toss it in here? And now we've got an image and we've got music. The only thing that's missing is narration. And what you do for narration is add your track. We're going to add an audio track. We added audio to, you can name these, and so you can call this narration, so you can remember which one is which, and you can call them, whatever you like. So we know that we're going to do this video and it's going to have something to do with tutoring or something. And the thing about your images, you can stretch them out, make them stay on your screen as long as you want them there based on whatever you're saying in your narration or based on your music or the timing of the story. All this stuff is based on, whatever kind of story you're telling, always rhetorical decisions, right? And let's just give this a play. And it doesn't have any narration on it, but you can record your narration directly in WeVideo by clicking the record button, or a lot of people like to use their phones because phones have gotten so much better. You can get closer. And if you need to spruce up your audio, you can go into Audacity, download your file in there, and it'll fix it. Audacity is still, thankfully, a free program, though I think you can upgrade it. But the basic Audacity, if you need to tinker with background noise or filter something or whatever, you can do it in there. But generally speaking, a good, clear recording, either on your phone or directly into your computer, and you just pop it into that narration line, and you're good. So let's watch this. I'm going to shrink down the timeline again, just so we don't, we don't have some room to actually look at the digital story. And so we've got one image on the screen and a little bit of music in the background. How lovely, right? So we wouldn't, though, leave that image on the screen just like that. We would want to have something happen to that, give it some movement, have some zooming, because if we had to stare at this image for, let's see how long this is. Um, it's not telling us here, but it's long enough so that we would get bored. We don't want to get bored. When you double click on your image, you can do all kinds of things. You can scale it down. You can make it bigger, make it smaller. You can add a blur effect. You can animate it, and animate is what we're going to do right now. Animation basically just tells the program where do you want the camera, if you think about it that way, to start, and where do you want it to end. And so in this case, I want it to, let's see. I don't know. Do we want it to start? I don't know. Let's start here, and then we'll just do a little bit of movement, and we'll end it here, I guess. And again, we wouldn't just do this just because. We would have a reason why, we're choosing to add this movement at this point, and so on. So let's give it a watch now that we've added a little bit of movement. That improved it already, right? I mean, that made a major improvement just adding a little bit of motion. And so when you think about when you're working on your digital story, you want to be sure that you're considering how long are you leaving your images on the screen. There's 7 basic principles if you think about digital storytelling. In addition to, of course, the hook that we already talked about, you have to think about pacing. You want to read slower than you think you should be, and you'll hear your voice and you'll hate it, but you want to keep talking slower than you think you should be, because people in general talk fast. I've been talking fast in this instruction, and I wouldn't do my digital story that way. I wouldn't talk so fast. So you have to think about pacing, and then you have to think about something called economy. And I'm not talking about the economy. I'm talking about the economic use of images and video, so you don't have too many images so that people can't keep up, and you don't have too few so that people get bored because the image is on the screen for way too long. The same thing is true with other parts. You want to make sure that the music is not so too fast, or the music is not so slow. And so you always have to take into consideration how each of these things are impacting the bigger part of your story. One of the mistakes that people make early on in digital storytelling is that we are so used to having, as people who write, as having the words do all the work. That's all we have is words. But in digital storytelling, we have music to do things like set tone, change pace, and so on. We have images. So if you're telling a story and you're saying, my grandmother lived in a greenhouse with a red door, though I would hope not. But if she did, if you have a picture of the greenhouse with the red door, unless there's a reason to doubly emphasize that, the image can speak. It can, the saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. It is true in digital storytelling too. The image can serve and eliminate a lot of extra words that you might have in your story. A couple more things. And again, this is a quick rundown of WeVideo. And normally I would spend days talking about this. But in this case, this is just a tour of how it works. Things that you want to know about are transitions. So this image is here. And if we want to go back to images and just add, let's see, we'll just add something just for the sake of time here. we would want to add a transition in between. And when you click on the button now, it used to be that you had to hand add each transition, but it'll tell you what kind of transition you've added. So if you double click on it, it says it's a crossfade. There's a ton of different kinds, as you can see, but crossfades are really good. They're very professional. And this one is on there for 2 seconds or 1 second. We're going to add it for 2 seconds just to make it feel like it's a real fade. So let's take a look at the fade. So we've got this image here. And that's so much nicer than this. Let's take the transition out and let me show you what that looks like. Did you see that? I'll do it one more time. It's just so abrupt. So make sure that you're doing transitions between images. You can do all kinds of things in here. You can change the opacity, like the lightness and how much depth we see of your photos. You can also go in and change the audio, the volume of it as a whole by clicking on this button and changing it here. But you can also go here on these three buttons and select audio and opacity, show audio level. And here you can control it within the line. And so say I think this is too loud, I can just put a little dot here. It's called a key. And then put one here. And then maybe I want it to just go back up here. And this is how granular you can get, even with a program as simple as WeVideo. But let's give that a listen and so you can hear what happens when I change volume. Obviously, you want to fade your music out at the end too. And the easiest way of doing that is to go all the way to the end and probably around here, start a fade. And then I would just fade it all the way out and probably just clip off the end. In fact, let me show you how to do that real quick. If you want to split something like your line, and I would like to probably cut mine, oh, here, why don't we cut it here? You go to the split and you can literally just delete the part that you don't want. And it does, by the way, for everybody's sake, it has an undo button. So if you make a mistake, you can click undo and it'll bring it back for you. And so that's like your 2 cent tour. I'm sorry to say it's short of WeVideo. Thankfully, WeVideo does have a wonderful library of instructional videos. WeVideo Academy is what they used to call it. I don't know if they still do or not. But also you can go on YouTube and find just about anything you want because there's a lot of creators that use WeVideo. And so you can type in, how to do whatever transition in WeVideo or how to add an interactive title slide in WeVideo or how to add a branding logo in WeVideo. That might be something that you want to do. I'm not sure about your project. So anyways, thank you for listening to me today. And if you have any questions, pass them on to your professor. I'd be glad to answer them. And I hope that you kind of have a better understanding about the origins of digital storytelling, but also about how you might adapt digital storytelling to the projects that you're working on in this class. And so, thank you all for listening, and I hope your projects turn out great. Have a good rest of the semester, everybody.